James O'Keefe, it's great having you back on Crossroads.
Josh, great to be with you.
So you recently published this series of videos talking about alleged ballot harvesting and possible vote fraud taking place in Ilhan Omar's district. After you published those videos showing, people harvesting ballots, talking about it, and also giving corroborating interviews based on that, a lot of media have come out and attacked you. Can you tell us about what's going on and why you're filing these lawsuits?
Well, Josh, the New York Times did one of the most despicable things I've ever seen in my life, and that's saying something. The New York Times came out and said it was part of a, quote, probable disinformation campaign, keyword probable. And that was based upon, quote unquote, Stanford researchers who went and found, I met with Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, and a couple other people and embargoed media embargoes of the video ahead of time. That's the Minnesota ballot harvesting video, because Project Veritas relies upon social media influencers to get the message out because of corrupt institutions like the New York Times. The New York Times justified that it's part of a, quote, disinformation campaign because we shared the video ahead of time with social media influencers. And they called the videos, quote, deceptive, unquote. There's nothing in the videotapes that are deceptive. And the New York Times attacked the quote unquote unverified evidence. They said there's no evidence to support the claims. They said we used anonymous sources. Well, that's rich because the New York Times' entire tax return story used anonymous sources and didn't show any documents whatsoever. So what we have here, Josh, is an unbelievable, I've never seen anything like this in my career. I've been through a lot of lawsuits. Project Veritas has never lost a lawsuit, not one. But I've never seen, this isn't just hypocrisy. It's pathological for the New York Times to report that I'm using anonymous sourcing when you can actually see the faces in the video, you can hear the voices, you can hear the intonation of the people on tape saying, we don't care that it's illegal. You can hear Liban say, here's all my absentee ballots. And they attack my integrity. So I've had enough. Our lawyers have sent 2 letters demanding a retraction, particularly on the deceptive language. And if they do not retract, we are filing a defamation lawsuit in federal court.
So yeah, before this interview, I went and I watched your different videos making the allegations, of this ballot harvesting and so on taking place in Ilhan Omar's district. I also read some of the different rebuttals to it, including New York Times, and I know Fox, actually, one of their local broadcasters did something on it. And I was a bit surprised as well because, being an investigative journalist, I can see the methods that have been used in terms of, for example, sending out embargoed information ahead of time, saying, hey, we have this big investigation coming out. A lot of media do this. This is standard protocol for journalists. I can tell you, myself being an investigative journalist, and I'm on a lot of email lists, I get emails all the time. A lot of times when any big media is breaking a story, they will send out embargoed information saying we're going to be publishing the story if you want to cover it. This is standard practice. And so I was really shocked.
Standard practice.
Yeah.
It's standard price. It's that's why I said it's pathological. It's irrational. And what's remarkable about the New York Times article, and I do want to go to this Fox Local 9 TV affiliate report, which is a different allegation they've hit me with, but this pathological accusation that we use anonymous sourcing. First of all, we don't use anonymous sourcing. We don't ask you to believe anything we actually quote people, sometimes unwittingly. But you can hear their voices. You can hear this Siat character. This is the ballot harvester on the video. You can see a voter registration form in exchange for currency. You can actually see the greenbacks in the video. I'm not asking you to take anything. I'm not asking you to trust what my anonymous sources are telling me. I only make arguments backed up by firsthand sources information. I actually have the New York Times article in front of me now, so I can refer to it. It's part of a coordinated disinformation campaign. So again, I don't know what happened to the New York Times. This is not the New York Times I grew up with. And I think they basically project onto me that which they are. This is the New York Times. I have a copy of it here, and I don't know if you could see it through the screen, but it says, making claims without evidence. Making claims without, I want to let that sink in for a minute. The New York Times is saying that a videotape of a man in a car with ballots all on his lap and a cash transaction, there's no evidence. So my question for Dean Baquet, the executive editor, is what would constitute evidence? if not that? What would constitute actual incontrovertible evidence? And then you begin to realize that the sort of world that we're living in, it's a Soviet era kind of media. It's beyond Orwell. It's become a Kafkaesque nightmare. You have a person on Snapchat bragging, having ballots all over his lap. He did that. I did not record it. He did. He goes on local Fox 9 News and he says, well, someone bribed me to do this. Are you suggesting, Liban Mohammed, that someone paid you to put all those ballots in that car? Because that's not what you said. But that's what everyone is propagandizing and picking up at this point. So I've pushed back aggressively. I've asked Fox 9 to retract. By the way, Josh, I reached out to Fox 9. They didn't even publish my comment. So if you're a responsible, investigative reporter at a local TV affiliate and you ask me for comment and I give it to you, they didn't even publish my denial. They just published the guy who broke the law and published what he said, his rationalization. It's like going and talking to a bank robber and saying, well, did you do it? No, I didn't steal 100,000. I stole 20,000 and I did it for charity. So this is the sort of world we're living in. I've never been more passionate about something in my life. I feel like we're fighting the entire machine. This comes on the heels of the director of the FBI saying there's no such thing as voter fraud. We show the voter fraud. We show it systemically. We're over the target. And that's why these people are indeed coming after us.
Now, with that said, folks, again, we're broadcasting 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Also, every Sunday, I do a live Q&A, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so be sure to join us. Also, if you want to support Crossroads, please consider joining us on Patreon. You can find the link to our Patreon page in the description below. And if you haven't already, also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps this channel.